Well, welcome to the 2026 Peace Apostolic Network Marriage Celebrants Ongoing Professional Development. There's a mouthful for a title. I hope you're doing well and that you're clear about your responsibilities as a celebrant. As always, if you run into difficulties or have questions you can't resolve, then please contact me anytime. There's a couple of things I want to talk about today. The first is the proposed digital ID that the government is talking about bringing out. You may have received an email from Maury O'Connell just before Christmas and you're wondering what the heck that was all about. Basically nothing changes yet. The government has changed legislation so that in the future, if they bring in a digital ID system, then everything will be ready to go to use that. So sometime in the future, you may be able to use that as your form of identification when you're signing people's notices of intended marriage or whatever. But for the time being, that doesn't apply. You don't have to worry about it. We just stick with passports and driver's licenses, etc. So no change there. What has changed, however, is that the government now requires you to conduct a separate interview with both the parties to be married. So this is to ensure that that both parties are entering into the marriage freely without any coercion or force, and that they understand what's happening. So as you know, this probably hasn't been a real big issue in the past, although we do have legends of shotgun marriages, so-called, in previous decades. But with an influx of people from cultures that don't necessarily agree with us on the nature of marriage, they're finding that some people, especially women, are being coerced or pressed into a marriage that they don't really want to participate in, but due to family pressure or tradition or whatever, they're being forced to marry somebody they don't care for. So this idea of the separate interviews is that you'll be able to take both parties aside and satisfy yourself that, to the best of your knowledge at least, both parties are entering freely into the marriage. And probably as a safeguard, that's probably a good thing. Who knows how many people might be able to be rescued from coercive situations. The second purpose of that separate interview is to make sure that both parties understand and freely consent to being married. Now, what do we mean by that? Well, with older people, there may be a case of Alzheimer's or dementia setting in, and they're not really sure of why they're getting married to that person or why you're doing all this stuff. Or somebody that has limited intellectual capabilities may not really understand the nature of marriage. So for those reasons, we need to talk to people about what marriage is about and how it will change their lifestyle and so on. A big issue nowadays, especially for people coming to a second or even subsequent marriage, is the fact that marriages completely delete or cancel a previously made will. So you might have two people with X number of children, a certain amount of property from their previous marriage. So they need to understand that getting married will change the way those assets may be distributed if one of them dies, and it may affect their financial situation, all sorts of ways that, well, mere mortals like me and you probably can't imagine. So, so we need to make sure that they understand what's going on. Some years ago, there was a couple asked me to come along and sign witness a will for them, which I did, and then there was the wife. Well, she wasn't a wife at that stage; they'd married and divorced, and he came back to me some time later and asked what he would need to do to get married. So I explained to him the procedure. He had this strange idea that getting married in a church might make things easier in terms of bureaucratic procedures. But by that stage, the partner was showing signs of some sort of dementia. So she seemed to me like she wasn't entirely aware of what was going on. So if they had come to me later, which they didn't, and asked could they get married, I would have had to have been sure that she understood what was going on, that she understood the financial implications, and that she had the mental, cognitive ability to be able to freely consent to marriage. And if you're not sure, nobody's asking you to be a psychologist or whatever, but maybe you could say to the person, look, I'm not sure whether you're able to consent to this marriage. I'd like you to go and see a psychologist and get a letter from them saying you understand marriage. So that now apparently is our duty of care and an extra step that needs to be taken. Anyway, so make sure that both parties have the ability to understand the implications of marriage, and that neither of them is being coerced or forced into a marriage that they don't want to enter into. The final thing I want to mention too is that the law has been changed now to allow you to witness a notice of intended marriage remotely. If one of the parties is overseas, you can do that over a Zoom or Facebook video connection. I wouldn't have thought this was necessary, but apparently if you want a visa, if that person wants a visa to travel to Australia to get married or to stay here as an engaged person's visa, they do have to be able to produce a notice of intended marriage that has been witnessed. So in that situation, if they can go to a consulate and get a consular official to sign, that's okay too. But if there's no other way of doing it, then you can do it remotely by an audio-visual connection such as Zoom. And what you need to do is you fill in as many of the details as you can on the notice of intended marriage, and get the person that's actually in Australia to sign it. You witness their signature, and then scan the form, email it to the person, set up an appointment for a video connection, and then get them to print out the form. You need them to hold it up in front of you so you can see the form is the actual notice of intended marriage. Then you watch them sign that in front of the camera, and then get them to hold it up again with their signature visible to the camera. And then they'll have to scan it, email it back to you, and then you can sign it as that you've witnessed it on that date, on the date when they actually signed. So that's an extra complication, I suppose. Makes it a bit easier, I guess, for people that are in other countries and want to get married in Australia. It sounds complicated, but when you work through those steps one by one, it's not that hard at all. The important thing, as always, is to ensure that you are witnessing that person signing that form at that time. And if you do whatever's necessary to make that happen, well, you're in the clear. So I hope that's all helpful. Don't forget, we've got a whole series of these videos on the Peace Network Celebrants YouTube site, and you can go back through previous editions and brush up on any information you may have forgotten. And as always, if you run into a question or uncertainty, you need a bit of reassurance, then give me a call or contact me by email or WhatsApp or something, and I'd be pleased to help. Well, God bless you, have a great day and a great flourishing year in 2026.